Hello, everyone. Hope you're having an amazing day, evening, morning, night, whatever it is. I'm Brian Kellison. Lee Zavries is with me. No Marblehead Brian White. He's traveling back from a robot tournament with his kids, and we're going to get started with another Spincast cycling show. Let's go. Supported devices to run Zwift. What does this mean? You have this up. I have no idea what this is. We're flying by the seat of our pants.
So I wanted to do a little quick comparison because there's a whole bunch of MyWhoosh updates that some of the updates are actually kind of pretty old when I dug into it, but I got an email from MyWhoosh like
So did I.
3 days ago, and there was a huge list of this is what we've done. And it's funny because when I went to look into some of these updates happened weeks ago, but anyways, they consolidated the list. One of the main things was they have released MyWhoosh Go, which is for Windows, which is a way lighter version of MyWhoosh, because that was a big complaint. MyWhoosh took up a crap ton of system resources. You would have a crazy awesome GPU and your system frame rates are suffering.
Yeah.
So what I did was I uploaded minimum Zwift requirements and MyWhoosh Go. Basically, MyWhoosh Go is very similar to.
Yeah, people were saying that they can do integrated, like they could use their integrated graphics card. Look at that.
Yeah, embedded
GT 710.
So MyWhoosh Go system requirements are actually pretty darn close
to
Zwift's minimum requirements now, which brings them on par, because that was a big complaint. People with big systems were still having issues with MyWhoosh. I mean, you can still, actually, it's funny, MyWhoosh Go's minimum requirements are similar to Zwift's optimal requirements.
Look at all this. For the audio audience, it's a list of minimum Windows specs, and it goes through the stuff. But the minimum Apple devices and models is a laundry list of stuff. I mean, they have the iPad Air 3rd generation is supported, which is more of the slighter, more low key.
Yes,
iPad,
and actually, that is another.
What's the lowest? Hold on, let's go. iPhone XR is the first supported device. iPhone XR from 2018. Wow.
And part of that update was MyWhoosh is now on Apple TV.
Yes.
Which would probably opens up, I think, a huge amount, because that is sort of the entry level into Zwift. I started Zwifting with an Apple TV, and I would recommend that to most people because Apple TV is reasonably priced. It's super easy. And now that MyWhoosh is on it, I think that makes a.
Yeah, I mean, if you can have the performance and the experience on a Apple TV, then a lot of people will jump on board, because a lot of people have Apple TVs, at least enough to run whatever version this is. I can't remember what this is, but
yeah, it's the Apple TV.
Most people either have an iPad or an Android tablet or a Apple TV. And I don't know if there's any other set-top boxes that they have, because you would think it'd be kind of cool. Obviously, I used to work in the video game industry, and always had a PlayStation available to me. How come these games aren't on what is it, consoles, like an Xbox One or Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo Switch?
That's a good idea, really. I mean, all of those have USB.
They all have Bluetooth and they all have USB. So like the Ant Plus people, which are already excluded from any of these Apple devices, because there's no Ant Plus inside those devices. So you'd think that it was something that companies would be more inclined to try to do, is to get it on consoles. So it's like, because the install base for consoles is pretty high. and they're in living rooms. So I never knew why like they weren't in, you know, like a PlayStation 4. You can get those pretty inexpensively, right? Now, what are they, like $200? I don't know how much is a PlayStation 4. Like a slim, like this. I don't know. You can get a Switch for $350. That's the OLED one, but it's like $250 for a Switch, right? And I'm sure it could run Zwift. It could probably run MyWhoosh Go now, right? So,
well, the Android specs too are actually pretty minimal.
yeah, what is it? Apple TV. So Gen 1, 4K Gen 1. Wow. I have a 4K Gen 1. How well does it run? I don't know. Obviously, these are minimum requirements or supported. That's when it says Apple TV is supported on for Apple TV 4K Gen 1 and above. Then there's minimum stuff for like Mac OS and Windows and then Android. So it's like something that what?
I was just laughing at the recommended specs for Windows.
Oh yeah,
RTX 3090.
yeah.
Really?
10th gen or a Ryzen 9. Yeah. Those are recommended. So that's the thing. Then it goes into the question is like this new, because I downloaded the new update, which was I think 3.6.2, which is the newest one. I still had 30 frames a second. I'm on a 7th gen CPU and a 2080. No, not a 2080. I'm on a 20 series Quadro, which is like, it's still a 20 series. So it's not a 30 series, which is what they have there. Smart equipment they have a list of. But this is good news. This is good news. I know, let's see. I don't know. I didn't get my MyWhoosh Go installed. I just updated the one I had. I haven't downloaded MyWhoosh Go, but I might give it a shot. I had an issue with my erg workout, so I went to Indie Velo, which we roll into Indie Velo. We can talk about that. I'm enjoying Indie Velo. And I had a good conversation with somebody. I got a raid into my stream, and one of the raiders that came along for the ride was Bjorn, one of the principals of Indie Velo, and he was really open to either my criticisms or feature requests or just comments, and that was interesting. It was kind of like, hey, what about this and what about this? And it was nice to be able to speak to somebody that's, involved with the game and saying, oh yeah, you talk to George or talk to, we can talk about this or that. Because I think there are a lot of things under the hood. And somebody had a good analogy. What is it? Under the hood. I think of Brian White. It was like something was, or maybe it was you.
Yeah,
was it you?
No, it was Brian with his car.
Yeah. Yeah, his car. He's like super great. Was it super specced out engine? But like the chassis and the look of the engine or the look of the car is not that good. So visually, like if you're thinking about it, it's like a beater car, but like the under the hood is great. That's kind of Indie Velo what it is right now. And so
it's tough, I think, for some of, I mean, I'm not a programmer and I don't develop software, but I think it's really tough. MyWhoosh took the approach of MyWhoosh has always looked good. But under the hood, the drafting's weird. There's weird rubber banding. You are always surging. But but Indie Velo's taken the opposite approach where it kind of looks okay. Actually, it doesn't even look okay. After you've ridden it 2 or 3 times, you're like, I've had enough of this scenery. But it works awesome. Everything under the hood is they're developing everything at an amazingly quick pace. And I think, but the problem with that is it's either it looks awesome, which attracts people, and then they ride it for a few months and go, this kind of sucks, or it doesn't look awesome, but it rides awesome. And then they ride it and go, wow, well, the ride feel is fantastic, but it looks Like
Yeah,
either way.
and there's people that are very open when we were discussing is like that I'm in Zwift because it looks good. That's the thing, is like regardless of under the hood or not. So cosmetics mean things to people, and I know that doesn't mean much to me. But I have a theory about the yo-yoing in MyWhoosh. I think a lot of the misunderstanding of the physics, because it is different. And I was listening, I got to give a shout out to the Virtual Villa podcast, which is Cy Bradley and the other gentleman, I can't remember his name, but they had Lionel Vuyasin on and Zach Nair on to talk about their experience with going to Abu Dhabi to do their in-game verification or their in-person verification. And Lionel is like, he loves MyWhoosh because it's like he knows the way that the game works. It's not a physics thing. It's not just everyone hang out in the group and then finish for a sprint. And that's sort of a strategy, and you can do that in Zwift. But he likes it how it's like, hey, they're the Sunday Race Club. Like he's talking Sunday Race Club, not MyWhoosh like on a regular, but Sunday Race Club as like the premier place for racing, esports racing, where people can be professional, they can win prizes, they can, have a living, they can make a living. That's the sort of thing is sort of where the sport is going, right? And he was saying that the more he spends in MyWhoosh, which he does predominantly most of the times because he enjoys it, versus what he did in Zwift Games and the other things, is my theory is that I think that misunderstanding of the physics, because we as in the people that were using Zwift all the time, Zwift's physics are different, and you acclimate to that and you learn it. Where if you start to use MyWhoosh more and more, you start to learn that more and more. Just like I learned RGT really well, and I enjoyed those physics. I'm learning Indy Velos more and more, and I'm not yo-yoing as much because I'm like mentally staying in the game and wanting to learn the game instead of trying to compare it to other things. It's like you just ride in this thing and you do this thing. I think you can get better with MyWhoosh the more you use it and the less you try to compare it to other stuff.
Well, I think that's a big problem, is because we're always comparing cycling games. And this isn't really a discussion when you're talking about video games. You don't complain that the jump button reacts differently between one game and the next. And that's sort of the built-in physics of that game.
There are some, though. There are, let's say the premier gamers of certain games of like a first-person shooter, or like they'll do Call of Duty, and they'll do like what is it, PUBG, and they'll do Apex Legends, and they'll do those things, and they have sort of an understanding of those things where it's like, hey, the reload time takes longer, the jumping or those sort of things. That's the fine tuning of like, hey, these mechanics, because they've spent time in there. Where it's like a casual user is like, oh, I'm going to try it out, and they don't have that sort of analysis to go right into it. They just have the bike analysis, because a mouse and a keyboard is different than the reaction time from your trainer to the game.
Well, I think a lot of things with MyWhoosh, it is a gameplay and the feel of the game, and it's not necessarily a bad physics issue. And from when I've ridden it, it feels like there's a delay, about a half a second. So what happens is people are still pedaling when they should have stopped pedaling half a second ago, and that extra wattage is carrying them to the front. And you can get in behind somebody, but your reaction, it's a different reaction speed required for when compared with Zwift if you're gaining on someone, which is also a different reaction speed required in Indy Velo. And the same thing. You just don't jump into a game and go, well, I'm going to be awesome at this. Like, it takes time.
No. I'm not saying it's awesome. I'm just saying that. No. Okay, just a regular. Okay,
just a regular, average random person.
Just somebody hopping in. Yeah. Now when I first was in Indie Velo, I would have a weird yo-yoing when I was with like a pace partner. Like I would do these weird yo-yo. Now I'm sort of like, I know how to move around a little bit better. I still think there's some fine tuning that needs to occur, but I don't know if that's them improving the physics, which I don't think that they have. It's me learning and staying with what I have. So like like you're saying, the reaction time, the race mode might be a thing that's helping. Do we know that race mode is working in MyWhoosh?
Who knows?
Race mode works in Zwift and race mode works in Indie Velo. You know, it's like I still have an issue with the direct connect. Direct connect working in MyWhoosh. So the thing is, MyWhoosh Go. I don't know if I need to get that going. If MyWhoosh Go supports the direct connect better, then yeah, sorry, tired. Yeah, I'm tired. I'm yawning on the air. The reaction time from input into the game and your avatar sort of doing that in the game should be a lot less. Hopefully, if MyWhoosh Go is physically, or the inside, the under the hood stuff is different. Yeah,
could be.
Yeah. All right. Anything else with Indie Velo? I actually do have one more thing with Indie Velo. I want to talk about that. Somebody brought this up in my stream the other day. I think it was Casey, we're going to try to get on. He was busy tonight, but we're going to try to get him on soon again because he's always good to have on. And he brought up a thing where it's like, hey, could Indie Velo handle like 1,000 riders? Could it do one event? Could the servers hold it? I think we need to have a, what is it, like a DDoS test.
Like
like everyone shows up to this one event, like, hey, you need to show up so we can try to crash the servers to say, hey, George and Indie Velo, you guys need to support larger events. If we're going to get more people, can you guys support larger events with more like, what is it, active users?
Yeah, Indie Velo needs their own Andre Greipel charity ride.
Oh yeah. How do we get that?
Because that broke Zwift.
That broke Zwift
hard. Yeah. It was the most amazing event ever. They had 8,900 people in the pen. Oh, it broke. I enjoy that kind of stuff. That's funny because it didn't break for me. My Apple TV was like rock solid, but yeah, 8,900 people all in one pen. And then after that, Zwift realized they needed to optimize things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that would be interesting. I would totally be down for that. An Indie Velo. Let's break the system.
All right, then it'll be the Spincast Cycling Show. Break the server.
I'm pretty sure they've beefed up their server quite a bit recently. I don't know if it could handle 1,000 people in one event, but
do you even think we could get 1,000 people?
No. That's the first part. I don't even think there's 1,000 people on Indie Velo.
500?
250? I think 500 might be doable.
I think 200.
Because I know I've seen some of their real events have had upwards of 80 people in, like, actual people in an event. So I think you could.
All right. The goal is 1,000. All right. The goal is 1,000 people, active riders in one event.
Like Fez just said in chat, when in doubt, Zwift hides everybody. That hiding everybody came about after the Andre Greipel ride because they realized that you can't have 9,000 people visible to everybody at all times.
Yeah, you can't render that. Like, that's like, you don't render the entire environment for people. Because
so then after they fixed it, I think you could only see like 50 meters ahead of you.
On the mini map. I remember they did that because I wasn't on the Andre Greipel one, but I did the one I think after that, which was the Philippe Gilbert. I think it was the Philippe Gilbert one right? It wasn't a Lotto Destiny, or was it a different thing for
Well, and then
Andre Greipel?
you would ride and you would never not be drafting because you would just
Yeah, you
always
would.
be
It was
catching
just
people.
it was just like there was that clump of people. I remember the Tour de France. This is like in 2020, the Tour de France events. There was like just it was the whole road was full, and and it like that you couldn't see in the distance of people because they were disappeared. They were gone. They were not visible. It's not like you were like, oh, I couldn't see it. But no, they just weren't visible. And then you were in this full road full of people the entire road, the entire
Well, I
ride.
remember gaining, like I was riding through the group
Yeah.
and I spent the entire hour never actually
Seeing the road.
just all people, which,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
remember doing that. Yeah.
those are actually kind of fun. I enjoy those kind of rides where it's just that many people, you know.
Now, if we could get that without a pandemic, then I would have a different opinion of Zwift.
Yes. If they can
Like,
get,
oh yeah, this is what we want. Then
need
they would
another,
have to fix it. But yeah,
another Bo Jackson ride, that'll get that people.
what would be a ride that would get people on Zwift or Indie Velo? What would be a ride you think that would get 1,000 people?
It would need to be like a charity type one where you have a famous person, whether it
Think
be
so?
a famous cyclist. Oh yeah. Well, like that Andre Greipel ride, that was way back in the day, and there was actually over 10,000 people signed up. And this was way before Zwift had like 45,000 people on at one time. Like,
Well, wasn't this like during the pandemic?
I think it was right at the very start.
Yeah, I think it was right at the start
Right
when
at the very
everyone
start.
was in lockdown. Everyone had nowhere to go. Everyone had they had it. Everyone ramped up their ability to get on Zwift because there was like people that were riding outside, and they're like, I can't ride outside because I remember I didn't ride outside. I think I rode outside once, and that was like July, and I didn't feel good about it anyways because this is before we had this is when the hospitals were still full and people were like dying.
Yep. This was actually,
and it was like first responder. It was like, stay out of, like, if you don't have to go to the hospital because you broke your arm or you crashed and hurt your collarbone, it's only for people that have COVID. That was the beginning. So like everyone stayed inside.
This was a month, 1 month before lockdown.
That was 1 month before.
Yeah, I was looking at February 8th, 2020. Oh. So pretty much this mega ride that had 9,000 plus people signed up was 1 month before.
When was lockdown for you in Canada?
End of March. End of March.
End of March. Oh, so we locked down like mid March.
So this was like,
it was like first or second week of March.
So that's even more impressive that they got that many people that weren't locked in their house.
No, maybe there was more. Wasn't there lockdowns in Europe?
I don't know when they actually all started.
I think the United States was a little behind the curve. Where I work, we were locked down like a week before. Is sort of like a federal lockdown, or like I can't remember how long ago it was. It was like a blur. But so if you're saying okay, it was February, so it was before. But there's probably a lot of Europeans, and maybe that was the reason why I was like, hey, Europe is sort of, because I remember it went to Italy, right? Didn't it sort of start in Italy? Or it started in like Wuhan or whatever, like in China, and then that person was at a conference. I can't remember, and don't quote me on this, whatever, but I remember it like went to Europe first.
Fact checkers.
Yeah, total fact checkers. But I think that's what happened, is that's maybe early on people were like, hey, we're staying inside, and that might be it, to justify like how many people were on Zwift. Because was Zwift as more popular before COVID, or was it like
I think the all-time peak numbers were like February of 2021.
Yeah, the peak numbers were like February of 2021. Like peak
was like full into.
It was like 45,000 or 47,000 or something like that.
It broke.
But before that, it was like 15,000 or 20,000.
Well, that's why the Andre Greipel ride was so amazing, because the peak before that, like it made the peak in one ride.
Made the peak. Yeah, in that one ride. Yeah. We're going down a rabbit hole, but yeah, that's that sort of charity. But now, were people going there because of the charity, or because this was like a first time a big rider from the pro things was doing an event?
I think it was a bit of both, but mostly because it was a pro dude
Yeah.
and you got a really, really ugly kit out of
Did
it.
you? Oh, well.
Oh yeah, it's like a white skin suit with sort of like an abstract gorilla face on it. Like
Oh,
it's
that's right. Yeah, yeah, because he's the gorilla. He's that's a like his
yeah.
whatever
And so that
mascot.
was like the main reason. Oh, and it was like Saturday at 9 a.m. on like West Coast
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
the timing was good because you got, it would have been like noon East
yeah.
Coast, and then it would have been evening in Europe. So I think the time of the ride was
Was also important. Yeah.
spanned half the world could actually make a 9
Mm.
a.m. Pacific, ride time. Yeah, that kit's the worst one in the
Does
game.
anyone have any video of that? I wonder if anyone streamed that and have the video recorded of that.
2020, I think that was before I was
Oh,
streaming, but I just remember like people spinning,
yeah. I have
people
old videos of
lagging.
yeah. I have old videos of me streaming. Like I have like some of my early streams. I have an old RGT, like one of my first RGT rides, and it's like, I
Well, actually, yeah. Well,
think it
like
was like
I just
I think
said,
it was an echelon race. I think it was an echelon race, and then I did.
this
This is when it was still two devices. Like you had to have a mobile device, and then it streamed to the screen. But yeah. All right, moving on.
I was just say, like what Fez just said too, this was pre-event fatigue. So the Andre
Oh, right.
Greipel
Yeah, yeah.
ride,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
there might
yeah.
have only
That's a good
been
call.
15 events that
Yeah, yeah.
entire day, not
That is
the
a good
current
point, Fez. Yeah.
170 events per
Yeah,
day.
yeah. So people were itching for something, and they're like, "Oh my god, with a pro rider and charity, and you get a special kit." Everybody shows up.
Well, and that's the thing is you make time for that ride. You were
Yeah.
like 9 a.m. That's when I'm going to ride, not like,
Yeah.
9 a.m., 9:15, 9:30, 9:45.
The only one I made time for was the vegan cyclist 100+1. I remember doing that to get his kit because I actually owned the real kit in real life.
See, that's a bonus
Yeah.
if you
See,
own the real kit.
I gave it to my buddy, but because it doesn't fit me anymore. But so his first foray into doing a kit, like a real kit, I bought one from his whatever store. Like he did the one with the fruit sleeves and all the other stuff. This is before the one that's like the fruity, the whatever more fruity one that's got like purple sleeves and shorts and everything.
So was it a vegan cyclist group ride?
Yeah, it
Or
was
was it a
100
race?
miles. No, it was 100 miles. It was like you do 4 laps of like not Tempest Fugit, but it was like 4 laps of like a 25-mile loop.
Did he get mad at people for cheating?
No, this is before the coffee. This is before the coffee ride. No, he was cool. Tyler's cool. Tyler's a good dude.
I appreciate his YouTube videos. They're probably one of the better biking ones out there.
Yeah. He's changed his whole thing. I remember when he was first doing stuff and he would interview people at races and do all that. Now he's, he does the ultra endurance stuff, and Tyler's cool. I met him a couple times. I raced with him.
He's just never going to get any slack on his group ride racing cheating antics. So,
oh, with the coffee with Fez,
yeah,
Fez, yeah.
Oh, I love it. It was so funny.
The battle of Fez, yeah.
The coffee shop or the coffee stop uphill. But it's in a group ride because it's not a race.
The group ride racing, yeah, exactly. All right.
Yeah.
New topic. Wattgames. You have it up here. This is for the audio only folks.
Wattgames.
Wattgames, which I heard about from Lumophile. TJ. What is this? I looked at him like, like I'm immediately like, oh, this is a game. I'm into it.
It is a game.
And then I'm like,
you actually need a controller.
Am I going against my purist I want a simulation? And I'm like, no, I can have fun doing this. This is not, they know what they're doing. This is specifically whatever, riding metal horses, but you're on a bike. like you're all kitted up, but you're like doing something fun. This is like this sort of like the Connects game that I tried out, which was I think a Japanese developer.
Yeah, it's early access on Steam, so you can add it to your wish list. I joined their Discord.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they have some beta people on it, but yeah, it's got a whole backstory. It's a game. Like you
That's
are in
cool.
armor. Well, see, this is like actually what I've been talking about would be awesome in Zwift is to have like group, you know, game things like Raid the Yeti. And that's what this is. Like, there's not a lot of video footage out there. There's some screenshots, but I mean, it looks.
Yeah, like a capture the flag race would be cool, or some other sort of like, what is it, domination? Isn't there like one there's like a game where you like it's like Risk, where you dominate like a field. Like if you take, let's say you have a bunch of teams and they're racing around Zwift or around Wattgames, and you're having it's like the top 5 riders add to your like a points, like make it a points race, right? If you had a points race, but you're taking over territory and you're like, oh, it's like Splatoon or something. Do like a Splatoon, like a cycling Splatoon. That's what you need to do, where you're trying to ride and like they're riding through the beach. This is the visual for the audio only folks. There's some screenshots. So go to wattgames.com. I believe it's wattgames.com.
Wattgames.net.
Wattgames.net, excuse me, wattgames.net. And there's like, different environments, but everyone is sort of on their iron steed and they're in their full armor, like full plated armor, like it's Dungeons and Dragons. And if you're riding around and you're like, hey, the games that they've created, which are, let's see here, gameplay.
I like this one
Beast,
here.
Surge, Death, Interval. What are these power-ups or what is this?
So basically there's like one of the concepts of the game is there's like a beast chasing you. And
yeah, okay.
Here's a special interval where the beast will continue to get closer to you regardless of your power. These intervals usually have a high power target. Example, 2 times FTP for 5 seconds to escape the beast. So there's certain things you need to do. And you have a health gauge. You can die in the game.
Yeah.
And not complete things.
Think of it like a ramp test. If the beast is chasing you, you have to keep going as hard as you can. And then eventually the beast will catch you and you just try to score as many points or stay alive. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Or if you're doing like a workout session and like the beast is chasing you, you have to do 5 seconds FTP. Or if you have to do like an anaerobic or super high effort to get away, and then you have to get back into tempo so that the beast can't catch up to you. That's kind of cool. That's a fun way to do it.
Yeah, it says here
just looking through.
It's got some battles where it says one element is an interval list, usually displayed on the right-hand side of the screen, which gives an overview of the length and power requirements of the current battle.
Yeah.
Sounds super interesting. It's apparently it's in beta, early release is to be determined, but I'm going to try to get into.
Yeah, I'm going to get into this.
I've joined their Discord. They have a link to their Discord server, and it's not complete. Like this is very, very early on, but looks okay. Sounds kind of like a good concept. I think we've been talking about.
The HUD is really good. The HUD is simple enough. It's got a little power meter on the bottom left.
Ride your bikes with your armor and do some.
Yeah. I mean, you can do one in the future and have it like you could have it like actual Tron bikes.
Is this like a power
light
up here?
cycles?
It's like the Phoenix.
That reminds me of like Azrael from Diablo, right?
It's like Final Fantasy on bikes.
Who's the angel in Diablo 2 or Diablo 3? Sorry.
I think it's.
Isn't it Azrael? No, who's the? Whatever.
Here we go. Here's some
gameplay. You're not logged in.
Not logged in.
Great. He's on his Instagram, everyone.
Here, we'll fix that in 1 sec. I want to see one of these pictures.
So the thing is, can you do rowing? Like, there's going to be people that will be like Felty. He's a rower. Can you do rowing? Can you do treadmill? Can you run from the beast?
Well, that's the
I
problem.
mean,
Is that's
if
what's going to
if
happen.
these are motivational things, I mean, hey, I'm in a funk right now with my motivation. So maybe these things are like, oh, there's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex chasing
Oh, here
after
we
someone on
go.
the bike. Oh, it just ate him. Holy wow! It just chomped on the back, and he's blood splattered out of him.
Oh, it's catching him. It's catching him.
Just
Oh,
chomp. Oh, visually, this takes your mind off of like what effort you have to do. You're just trying to stay away from the bite.
yeah.
I like it. I'm in.
I think, yeah, this is different.
It's because you're looking. It's a different perspective. You're looking at the monster chasing you instead of looking up the road at like a rider that's getting away from you. I'm for both. I'm for having fun. I like simulation. So this is not simulation. This is not like reality. But I'm okay with having fictitious stuff where you're sneak peek at new war games.
What?
Combat. What was
Did
that?
you see that?
No,
He
play
just
it again.
He just kicked the crab.
Oh, it was like a spinning leg kick. Blacklist crab? I don't know what that is. Oh, here we go. Dude, your frame rate is terrible. But he jumps off the bike and kicks. He like jump kicks the crab that's on the road. I don't know about that one. See, why do you need the bike? Why can't it be like a horse? Like it would be like if you're pedaling on the bike, like go full fantasy.
Well, it does say that you need a controller. So I'm
Okay, you need
wondering
a
if
controller, but I'm saying like the visuals, like go full
oh yeah, like not even have a
Avatar.
bike,
Or
have a
yeah, don't have
horse.
a bike or have it, have like have it like a mount. Like in World of Warcraft, you have like a mount, right? You have a whatever, a panther or I don't know what you guys have in that damn game. I don't play the game. Panthers, you have like a flying raven or something, right?
I think
You should get
Cade Sport
those.
tried to do that initially.
Oh, is that what Cade Sport did? Okay.
Cade Sport had like weird bike things, but I don't think the weird bike thing works in just a normal riding around setting. In this setting, you're being chased by beasts and you're jumping off your thing, kicking things. I think a horse or something else or a panther or whatever would work better
Yeah.
in this situation.
What about hooking the bike up to like Excite Bike? Like Nintendo's Excite Bike, and you're like pedaling to make it like you have to use a controller to go over to get the benefits of going over a jump and then down the backside of a jump. This is somebody else's job to make these games. We're just giving the ideas.
Now, if only they could use the Zwift Play controllers for this game.
Yeah, how are those play controllers working for you?
So yeah,
I haven't
actually,
used mine because I haven't been in Zwift in a while.
there was a hardware update late last week, and it makes the pairing of the Play controllers really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I shouldn't say really fast. It makes it pair like a normal sensor. Like, when you turn Zwift on and it finds your heart rate, cadence, trainer, it just pops up really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Zwift Play, you'd turn them on and it'd be like connecting. And you'd be like, okay, it's been 30 seconds. Would you freaking connect? Now,
yeah, there was a whole process of connecting when I had issues.
Now it's just like any other sensor. So you turn the game on. You turn the Zwift Plays on, and they connected just as fast as the trainer. Boom,
the thing that I didn't like about when I did get it working all the time, and the virtual shifting did firmware go to the kicker move that I have. Sorry, I just hit my microphone with a screwdriver. The shifting buttons are small. I think I brought this up on the stream or on the show anyways. But like the button placement now needs a redesign. I think the clicker that you can buy now, because you can buy the clicker by itself, the clicker has, it seems like, more surface area for your shifting, your virtual shifting. I think the version 2 of the Zwift Play needs a bigger shifting surface area for virtual shifting. What do you think of that? Yeah,
I think version 2 of the Zwift Play should just be like a normal hood setup.
Yeah, but how is that going to work?
People just have dedicated trainer bikes. I'm sure you can figure something out.
I don't want a dedicated. Wait a minute. I don't have a dedicated trainer bike. You're saying I have to get a dedicated trainer bike to get the virtual hood, to get the hood properly set up.
I had a dedicated trainer bike and I just sold it. So now I don't have a dedicated trainer bike.
You sold that one that you just had?
Well, I had my road bike.
The S-Works or whatever that was. That
it only came
off.
Yeah, that only came off the trainer 4 times in the last 3 years. And I said, why do I have this bike?
And you sold it.
Sold it.
So you have a trainer bike that's on the trainer.
But yeah, it's not my yeah. I mean, the Venge wasn't the dedicated trainer bike. It just was a joke that it never, ever, ever came off the trainer, ever.
I have the 2x. I have what I needed. I needed a new chain on my time trial bike. But once I get my time trial bike on, I'll put that on the trainer, and I'll use the road bike to ride around.
Yeah. But it's a tough thing to design. I mean, in general, I quite enjoy using the Play. I also have fairly small hands. So for me, they work. But to design something that sort of fits everyone's bikes because I do notice I kind of choke back a little bit on the handlebar to actually press the buttons. Like you can't.
Yeah, that's why I moved it to where I moved it. That's why I moved it to where I moved it.
Yeah, like when you have it on the hoods, because that's sort of the same thing. But maybe they need something like that where it's an attachment.
Do you think anyone else does it the way I do it?
No, no one does.
I think Scott Cunningham still does.
No, I don't think he does.
You don't think so?
I think
he's in chat. Scott, are you in chat? I'm asking you. People were into it when I first did it.
I know.
And they're like,
I could see something like that, like an attachment that actually attaches to your hood, but is designed properly to attach to your brake lever and hood.
I think it's better where I put it.
Or can you just make Zwift for people with Di2 and SRAM access? Could you just make a module that would accept the signal from those devices?
I think version 1 of the button placement is not ideal.
Do you know what I use the Zwift Plays for 99% of the time is?
Look behind?
No, we're giving ride-ons.
I just rolled my eyes to the audio only audience. I just rolled my eyes.
Because what is the one thing that you do the most of in Zwift is giving ride-ons.
Complain. That's what I do.
Well, that's what complain. But the ride-on button is so easy just to be constantly like ride on, ride on, ride on.
I want a button to turn off the chat.
Yes.
I want to turn it on. I'm like, I don't want to listen to this person anymore. Turn chat off.
That's the problem with me is I like the social aspect of these games at the same time as I hate socializing. And so every time I see random chat pop up in Zwift, I'm like, oh, this is cringy.
Yeah, that's why Zwift is still leading the charge, because their social network is greater than anything else out there.
German Diesel just joined chat, and we've already talked about Indie Velo.
Like we can go back to Indie Velo. I like talking about Indie Velo, but the social. Okay, Bjorn, welcome to the show. We're gonna set up. Hey, you don't have to confirm or deny. If we have an event, can we handle 1,000 attendees? That's the question. But we're going to go back to the Zwift thing, the social setting. The reason why a lot of people show up is because the idea that there's somebody there that they can just ride with. Like there's a always on, it's like a club that's always banging. Like it's like, oh man, this club is awesome. But the club isn't really that awesome. It's just always packed full of people. Where I like going to a club that's better with less people, you know?
I feel like there's some rides that I go on that I feel it's the same people going on all those rides because the chat is very familiar. There's a lot of like, "Hey, what'd you guys do?" And I'm like, "Who?" You know, like, "Oh, this ride I did last week, it really hurt my legs. My legs are still sore from last Thursday." And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I don't need
"Why
any of
is?"
that. I don't need to see or hear
But
any
then
of
it's
that.
like people I think are like responding to that.
I'm sure. Yeah, there's
And
people that need that. I don't. That's why I don't go there to
no,
do that.
that's why I say I'm in this weird middle ground because I
People would rather have
li-
that than a better quality game. They would rather have they would rather have a platform for them to complain about their legs to someone that's going to listen, whether they like it or not, than that there's dual power being connected and like there's cheating, there's like algorithms for the cheating to go in. There's the race line that Bjorn told me about. There's a race line in Indie. I
is
didn't know there
there.
was a race line. What is that? What is a race line? It's the optimal line when you're in an event. They don't have the race line doesn't exist in free riding. It only exists in the event. So now I'm captivated. Like I want to learn how to get better at the race line.
Be like those racing video games when you put on the tutorial and it gives you the line
Oh, Grand Theft Auto or not Grand
and
Theft
it
Auto.
shows you.
Gran Turismo used to do that.
Yeah, and your goal was to try to stay on the
Yeah,
line,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that was the fastest. That's what they should have.
That's what I was saying. It's kind of like that in the velodrome, which the velodrome is pointless in my opinion. But it has the different lines. It has like the blue line where you can't go behind that. But with the tactical positioning that's in Indian Velo, you should be able to have the race line where it would kind of guide you, which I was bringing this up to the chat on my stream the other day about how RGT had the good thing with the chevrons to pick which lane you could be in, but they just didn't allow the flow to go after that. Like you should be able to pick the line and find where you want to be. You're like, okay, this is where I want to be. And then if that changes, it would automatically just kind of follow the wheel you want to be on. But if it moved you to a place you didn't want to be, you could go there. So it's a combination of the both. But
Well, the
yeah, go.
RGT had the benefit as well that you could use the whole road.
Yeah.
That made
That was in
steering
the Magic Roads.
actually.
Yeah, Magic Roads. Yeah. That's the one thing I wish Indie Velo will eventually will get, because I was talking about this as well, is the auto braking going into a corner, going wide to the left and then cutting the apex, then coming back out. Whether that's just the half of the lane because it's, there are tracks essentially. The visual aspect of auto braking, and then so I'm used to it in RGT. There's a lot of people that they just pedal through the corners. Like if you come from Zwift, you just pedal through every corner because there's no auto braking in that game unless it's like there's one in London and there's some other place. I don't know where it is, but you just pedal all the time. Always be pedaling. There's a visual thing that helped me in RGT to kind of know, hey, my avatar is slowing. I'm hitting the apex, or the auto braking is sort of happening. Then when I come out, I knew when to get on the power again to come out of corners. And that gave me an advantage. And I wanted to continue that sort of experience. Right.
I was just thinking for auto braking, the trainer resistance should ramp up.
No,
Yes.
I don't like that. And Indie Velo does do that. I don't like it.
Do they? Oh, I didn't
Yes.
know
Yeah,
that.
no. Yeah. Indie Velo does increase resistance when it's auto braking.
Well, I was just
So
thinking
it's
because
like you're braking, but the thing is, no, okay, I'm okay with doing something, but I don't like adding resistance to you're already freewheeling. Like it shouldn't make your pedaling harder, because you're not pedaling harder because you're not really hitting the brakes. Like it's auto braking you, but you're not. Like when I hit the brakes, I know not to pedal. Like you can pedal a little bit through your brakes, right? But most people, when they're on the brakes, they're not pedaling.
I was just
But
thinking
when
more
you're
of
not,
like
when you're go ahead.
I was just thinking more of like a learning tool because it's hard to visualize where you should be
Yes,
braking.
and Indie
And
Velo's
if
done that. Yeah, and I
yeah,
think
and
it's
if
good. I just don't like it.
the resistance starts to ramp up and you go, oh, you
Yes.
shouldn't be
Yeah.
pedaling because it's getting harder. not something that, is on all the time.
Right.
And
I want a more visual indicator than my trainer difficulty going up, because when I brake, like I said, hands, no pedaling. So I'm freewheeling, I'm braking. Then when you are, so you're saying, okay, maybe, now I'm thinking about it. How come I don't like it? I don't like it because when I'm slowing, I'm not having the visual, I'm not doing the braking. But when you come out of the corner or you're coming out of a brake, an auto braking, the resistance should be harder because you haven't shifted correctly.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm shifting properly, I should have an easier gear and I can get back up to top speed. And that's sort of, there's got to be a balance there.
And the problem with increasing resistance, say if you're doing downhill with a resistance increase, your flywheel speed is stopping.
Yeah.
So if you come out of a downhill turn, you've now lost all your flywheel momentum and you're starting.
Yeah.
So like there's logistics of why it wouldn't work, but as like a training tool, I could see it, because you're going to remember like, hey, this is where I should not be.
I'm with you. I'm for the, hey, let's try something. That's the, hey, I'm happy that we're trying something. Personal, I don't like it. Because it's not that I can't learn it. I can learn it. I just don't think it's the right solution to trying to have auto braking, right? And I'm for auto braking. I've always been for auto braking. I loved it in RGT. I like it I wish there was more of it in Zwift. But I don't think increasing resistance in your smart trainer is as good a solution to not, in my opinion.
I think Zwift should implement massive trainer resistance increases in turns to prevent people that are already doing 80K an hour to be spinning at 500 watts to increase their speed, because that's not going to happen.
Instead of just slowing people down in corners.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just something like a Zwift thing. That's Zwift.
No, I think Zwift should fix their issue, not make another issue.
No, Zwift doesn't fix issues. Come on.
I want more.
They compound issues.
I want, oh God, I want better. I don't want fixing worse. That's what I don't like. Like making worse to fix worse instead of like making it better to fix something that's not as good. That's me. But all right. Where were we? We were on
we were actually with Bjorn in the chat.
Oh yeah, he came in.
He came in.
Can we get 1,000 people?
Can we have 1,000 people in an event? Can we get an event where we try to break Indie Velo?
We want to hit the servers hard. So call to arms. I think I brought this up in my chat where we were like, hey, I need to do an event. The other thing is I want to do an event to learn how to do events, and because I did them in RGT.
So I should actually, you can make your own event. So we should pick like a date in the future, like 3 weeks from now, and let's spam everyone about this. Whether you like to ride Indie Velo or not, join us on Indie Velo just to see if we can break their server.
Yeah. to see if we can do the Greipel.
Andre Greipel. Actually, maybe that's what we should contact Andre and say, hey, remember February 6th, 2020?
How much does it cost to get you to do an event in Indie Velo? And he'll be like, oh, I don't know. How much? Talk to his agent.
Let's break.
Maybe we can ask him to promote his charity.
Yeah.
Maybe promote his charity. It'd be the Brian White Memorial, since he's not on the show tonight.
He was crashing robots or whatever they were doing.
Was buying Don Ho records in Texas. Was he in Texas?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was in Texas. No, I think he was in Austin, Texas.
He was at a robotics competition with his daughters.
Yep. Which
seems super cool thing to do.
Yeah, I was cleaning my house. That's what I was doing. Now we're getting into the weeds. This is not to be on the show. All right. You don't stop the show until I tell you we're stopping the show. Lee has an uncanny ability to just stop mid sentence.
If you say play the music, show's
Oh,
over.
is that what it is? Is that the
Yeah,
cue? Okay, I
that's
won't
what
say that
happened.
then. All right. Okay. Anything else? So what we're gonna do is the other thing too is MyWhoosh. I know we talked about MyWhoosh at the beginning, but they also came out with a link app, which is essentially like a companion app. As I rub my eyes for the audio only audience, and I used it, and it showed the data from the game, like it shows that, but it like doesn't really do more than that. Like it didn't have a map. I don't know if it saw the activity.
I think it can do in-game messaging.
Yeah, in-game messaging and stuff. So it's like there's things coming down the pipe. So I need to try MyWhoosh Go. The IndieVelo event we got to do, and I don't know. You tell me what we were doing in Zwift. I haven't done
Well,
Zwift in a
I
while.
got MyWhoosh on the Apple TV. I had it
Oh,
on.
MyWhoosh on the Apple TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're done. I think that was a good show. For not having too much planned, we covered some stuff. Any questions from the audience? Let's do it. You stopped the stream already?
No, because we just got rated from WoW here.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then we'll go a little longer. Questions.
Questions from the audience.
Yeah, questions from the audience. Did WoW do what he was supposed to do this weekend? That's a question from the host, actually.
WoW was doing 100K raid yesterday, or 100K ride yesterday.
So all the people here, so anyone that raided, okay, we are getting a event going for IndieVelo. We want to get as many people on this IndieVelo event to see if we can crash their servers. All right. Now, if we crash their server, we're going to get a special kit. It's like an earthquake. It'll be like IndieVelo, and the back of the kit will have like a seismic sort of like, the circles, and be like, oh, this is where the epicenter. So be ready. If anybody wants a kit, because I know everyone loves kits. They love their kits. We're going to get a special kit for the, what?
Oh, I was going to say, did we confirm this with IndieVelo that they're going to make a special kit?
Why are you go along with the bit?
It's going to be an awesome kit.
It is going to be an awesome kit. It's going to be a great kit that that everyone's going to get when they show up to the IndieVelo event to crash the servers. It's called the seismic show or something.
And you get an in-game title that says Server Breaker.
Yeah. You get a little, you get not everyone's in California, but you have a fault line probably up in Canada.
I live on a fault line.
You live on a fault line. Yeah. Right there. That thing behind you, I bet it has that's probably all fault lines right there.
Yeah. The whole island actually is.
So we're going to have a seismic thing. Oh, Bjorn lives in British Columbia.
Yeah.
He's on the fault line too. So this is what our plan is. We're going to have an IndieVelo event. Oh, do we want to do a race or do we want to do a group ride? I think we do a race. Let's just have a race. And then it'll be on IndieVeloHub.com.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a new thing on IndieVelo Hub too. A new thing of Mike Swart, actually. Add this. And Bjorn brought this up. You can actually see the humans that have signed up for the event now. So if you go to IndieVelo Hub and you go to the event, you can sign up there and I'll show you a list of all the real people that are signed up for the event. Oh, another thing I wanted to bring up. We need a 100-kilometer race to do on IndieVelo, like they do, like the KISS 100. Where I'm going to start doing a IndieVelo 100s because I wanted to do that, and I'm like, I want to do it on IndieVelo. I don't want to do it on Zwift.
100K only on the velodrome? Is that what chat's saying?
No. I will avoid, as much as I wish there was more. Landmarks on the surface of the moon climb in IndieVelo. I don't like the velodrome. I don't like the flat, like the high school track. To me, it's a high school track. It's not a velodrome. There are no banked walls. There's no reason to be even I know. I remember people were super hyped when it first came. I don't even think Indie Velo was out of beta, and they had the velodrome. It's like, oh, the velodrome, it's so awesome. Everyone wants a velodrome in Zwift. The velodrome is pointless.
It is.
It's
Unless you have
pointless.
serious steering,
Yeah,
like very
serious steering.
responsive.
Maybe like the tactical positioning, but it's not on a flat course. You just stay in the middle. If there's no crashing, like there's no there's no point. All right. Any questions? I mean, I kind of just rolled to get some questions. Anyone got any questions, or they're just hanging out and listening to me complain?
Bjorn was saying that there would also be a special kit if we didn't break the server.
Oh, good.
It'd probably say something like, you suck.
Yeah.
You can't organize an event.
No. It'll say, we survived. We survived the non-crashing, like, or no, Indie Velo survived the attempted seismic shift event. That's what it was.
And we're gonna get like a whole whopping 50 people.
Yeah. So our goal. We're gonna keep doing this event. It'll be like a weekly event. We're just gonna do a weekly event to try to get to 1,000 people to crash the server, and then when we hit 1,000 and it still doesn't crash the server, we're gonna have to just increase it from that point, right?
It's got to be 100 kilometers, so Clutch comes.
Clutch will do the 100 kilometer.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all he rides in Zwift.
I need to get the 100 kilometer races so that Bath Salt shows up and tells me, "Oh, dude, this is how you race. This is how you race in Indie Velo. You let everyone lap you, and then you sit in and mix it up with the people."
Done that before.
Oh yeah, we have done that before.
I did that before in real life and got yelled at.
Yeah. Well, last thing, and then we'll get out of here. I still haven't said the key word for you to end the stream, which is good. Lee actually was doing. He started. So you started at 9:30 Pacific, and you had to cut your paid event short. Right?
Oh yeah.
You had to cut your paid event short because they were like, "Oh well, you got to get off the road."
So yeah, actually, it's funny. I haven't heard a response from them because I was going to offer my my services as a volunteer sweeper. So it was a paid gravel fondo that had specific cutoff times, and me and a buddy. So the first 30 kilometers of this gravel ride went straight up a mountain. Not a huge amount of elevation, but
what was the cutoff time?
Oh, it was like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, or something like that. And we were at
not like a time of day, like you have 3 hours.
It was 1 o'clock. It was 1 o'clock till you got to the 55K mark.
Okay.
And we were to the 55K mark at like 12:32. So we had 28 minutes. And then the guy told us to
shorten it up.
Peace out. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So we ended up doing 90 of the 120 kilometers, which was. I do have another one.
And you started at 9:30 in the morning.
Yes, which seems to be like a very late start.
That's very
for most
late.
Races, because I do have another gravel fondo that's 100, just over 100K next Sunday, and it starts at 8 a.m. So I'll be done at like noon, 1 o'clock, not 4 o'clock.
You did a non-fundo.
Non-fundo. It was fun. It just was like annoying to be removed from the course.
All right. Ready? Any final thoughts? Anyone? Thanks for the raid, Clutch. Fellow Canadian. I'm not even Canadian. Why do I even say it? Because I'm honorary Canadian? Yeah.
Do we have a name for the event?
Which one?
The server breaker event.
Yeah, it's what is it? Denial of service, DOS. Denial of service. That's what we're trying to do. The denial of service event. And the cat is eating your microphone. And your microphone's nice.
Oh, she likes foam. I don't know why.
Brand new microphone, everybody. Now we're just stalling until I say it. All right, get your final thoughts in because I'm going to say the thing and then he's just going to stop the stream.
$58.
50. That's the name.
That's
You're
my
gonna.
Canadian Tire amount.
Not only people that show up to the event in the Indie Velo was it denial of service. You're going to get a crisp $5 virtual $5 Canadian Tire dollar in Indie Velo. That means nothing. That's going to buy you nothing. You'll just get a crisp $5 Canadian Tire dollar in the game, and you'll just have one. It'll be like wallet $5 Canadian for nothing.
Problem is, we're gonna get like 5,000 people show up, and we're gonna have to somehow round up.
If I get Canadian Tire to sponsor this, and they get virtual Canadian Tire dollars, this event's gonna go off, and we're gonna get SAG in the game. Hey Bjorn, in the game, I want to have SAG support virtual coffees from Tim Hortons for the event, so you can stop and get virtual Tim Hortons and Timbits.
That's how you get a coffee stop in the game, is by actually stopping.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
Hey, in Indie Velo, the coffee stops are free. You just hit S. Just hit S and it stops, and you can just ride with everyone forever. Like there's no time limit.
I kind of want some Timbits now.
You want Timbits? All right. He wants Timbits. I got to go hang out with the wife and do paperwork. So play the music.
We are out. See you, everyone.
Bye.